Hi, everybody. This is Kevin. We are in week 3 now for both ARC Software 2 and Electrical and Mechanical Systems. And at this point, both classes are sort of moving together. So this lecture will be for both of you. Hope you guys are off to a good start with Revit and you had a good time with that small office building. You can see that right here. And are sort of getting the feel for Revit and everything it entails and just sort of a general sense of how it works. I also hope you're getting excited about it and perhaps you could create something of your own in there. Maybe you could model up the house that you currently live in or an idea for a future home that you'd like to build, whatever the case may be, but you can do a lot of designing and have a lot of fun in here. Okay, so this week we're going to sort of, in a way, take a bit of a step back. So if you remember when in Revit you created, in fact, let me just open up this file. You don't have to open it if you're working along with me. I just want to explain something in here. So if you remember when we sort of created this project together, we were, in a sense, drawing two-dimensional geometry, and that two-dimensional geometry was then translated by Revit into 3D forms. So, for example, when I was in level 1 floor plan right here, and let's say I want to draw a wall, right? So I'm going to go up to wall, and right now it's on that basic interior wall. But if you remember, all these tools right here are what we use to sort of draw a three-dimensional object. So these two-dimensional geometric elements. So for example, lines, rectangles. So just for example, I'll grab this rectangle and I'm just going to draw 4 walls right there. I mean, there, I've just made a little room within our office using the rectangle tool. I could have done exactly the same thing by drawing 4 lines. So using line work and understanding how line work and drawing circles, shapes, all that kind of stuff works, and being really proficient with those tools is very important because that then translates to 3D work. So this week we are sort of going to kind of go back a little bit and just practice and become way more familiar with all of the two-dimensional geometry creation tools, as well as how to modify anything that we've drawn after the fact. So in a way, we're going to kind of play like we're in CAD again. Now, you might think, oh, this is annoying, but this is super important for creating architecture and all these crazy stuff, all the crazy tools that we have at our disposal in Revit. Okay, so I'm just going to delete those, and I'm just going to close this project. Okay, and let's start a new file together. If you want to work with me, fine, or you can just watch. So what I want to do is create a new default template, much like we've done before. And for this, I am going to go to Browse, Default, Open. So this should be kind of second nature a little bit, and hit OK. You might notice I'm not in camera on this lecture. It's because I had some dental work done and half my face is swollen, so I look a little weird. So I do not want to make you guys look at me, because I wouldn't. So, okay, here we are in our floor plan, right? So the default view that we get into right when we come into a project is this level 1 floor plan. There's nothing in it. We have our elevation markers here, which are also correspond to the 4 cardinal direction views we have here. So what we're going to do in this lecture is we are going to just create a new drafting view. A drafting view is essentially just a new 2D view. You can use that to sort of create a drawing to supplement a detail or to supplement some other part of your design that you want to sort of elaborate further. So it's almost just like we're creating a sheet of paper and we're just going to draw on it. So to do that, let's go up to View, And let's go to the, let's see, create panel and go to drafting view. Now let's see what it says here. Creates a view showing details that are not directly associated with the building model. So that's super helpful. So what we create in here is nothing related to the building. It's just a way to sort of elaborate on something that we might want to include in the construction documents or something like that. So for example, if I'm an architect and I have this really cool model but I need to explain something further on it, say with a diagram, I might make a little drafting view and have this diagram so that I can put that on the construction document along with views of my 3D model just to explain something further. Okay, so drafting view, I'm just going to click on it, and right now it says, hey, you want to make a new drafting view. What do you want to save that as? All right, 1 second. So let's call this line practice. And let's set the scale to 3/4 inch equals a foot. And you're not tied to this scale. You can always change it. Okay, so we're just going to set it right now, and I'm just going to hit OK. Now, if you look in the project browser, we've got our floor plans, our ceiling plans, our elevations, and now a new one, drafting views. Oh, look, there it is, line practice. And it's bold, which means we're in it. So if I zoom in and out here, nothing happens. It's just two-dimensional infinite space of our little sketch that we're going to make. Okay, so I'm going to close my level 1 view. And now I'm just going to go up to File, Save As. Let's save this project. Save as project. Okay, and for me, I'm just going to save this on my desktop. So as I've said to you before, and I'll probably say it again, if you're working in remote desktop or remote access to one of the lab computers, save this file on the desktop of that computer and then move it into your OneDrive when we're done. So I'm just going to call this Kevin Kinney. That's me. And let's call it line work and modify tools version V01. Or you can just call it line work modify tools V01, something like that. Okay, save. All right, I know I got it saved because I could look up in this applications menu or bar at the top, and it says Kevin Kinney line work modify tools V01. So it's saved. Okay, so what we're going to do in here is just sort of play. So let's start by creating some line work. So in order to create any sort of line work, I'm going to go up to Annotate and click on Detail Line right here. Okay, so I'm going to hit Escape. I'm going to go Annotate, Detail Line. Okay, now we see that our toolbar has changed to Modify Place Detail Lines. And these are all the tools associated with placing detail lines. You might notice that these tools look very familiar to drawing walls. That's because these are almost the tools you use for every tool you use in Revit. So it's always going to be these kind of two-dimensional tools to draw three-dimensional things. So modify place detail lines, it says right now, but if I went into the wall command, and I'm just going to hit Escape and show you that, if I go architecture, oh, can't draw a wall in a drafting view. So that's why it's grayed out. So let me go to the floor plan, architecture, wall, look at modify place wall. I have the same kind of set of tools. So all I'm trying to point out to you is that we need to be very familiar with these tools. All right, so I'm going to hit Escape a bunch of times there, get out of that wall command. I'm going to go back to my line practice drafting view here, and I'll close that level 1. Okay, so I'm going to go back up to Annotate, Detail Line. Okay, so just a quick word about detail lines before we get started. Detail lines are view-specific lines. That means whatever line work I draw in here on my drafting view, it's only going to live in this line practice drafting view. It's not going to live in my model. It's not a three-dimensional line that is going to be in my model anywhere. Right now, I have nothing in this model, right? I don't have any walls. I have nothing made. But detail lines, no matter what view you're in, will only live in that view. A model line lives on the model. So, for example, let's say I had a cool metal panel wall, and I wanted to divide up that wall with some lines to kind of stand for the seams in the metal panel. I would draw that right on the model, right on the side of the building, so that no matter what elevation or perspective view I'm in, I can see those. So that's a model line. That lives on in the model, can be seen in all views. Detail lines, they're only seen in the view you put it in. That'll become more clear as we move forward. All right, so here I am in my tools, and let's just click on the line tool. So I'm just going to click once to start the line, and click another point to end the line. So as you can see, that little dimension string sort of moves with it. I'll do a 3-foot line. Now I clicked again, then I hit escape to sort of end, not the tool, but at least end that line. Now I can start again. 8 inches, click, hit escape, ends the line, but I'm still in the tool. Click again and kind of move. And I'm just making a little drawing here. Okay, nothing sacred. We're just playing. Okay, you might hate my drawing. That's fine. Ooh, gonna do an angle there. All right, and bring this guy back down. Okay, so I'm just making a line. Now let's say I'm done with the line. Okay, I'm gonna hit escape twice. Okay, now we're completely out of the detail line tool. Okay, but I have this little line work here. Boy, that's a work of art right there. So let's go back in. I'm going to go annotate, detail panel, detail line. Okay, there's my line tool. Okay, let's click it again. It's already activated. Now I'll just kind of continue on here. So it's almost like we're just drawing in CAD. Real skinny little number there. Okay, now again, escape twice cancels out, or I can take my mouse and go up to the modify button right here, and that cancels out of the tool as well. So I just click that once, cancels out of the tool. So escape twice or more. I'm used to just tap and escape like I'm going crazy. Gets you out of a command, or you can just hit that modify tool and boom, you're out of the tool. So back into the detail line. So that basically does it for the line tool. Couple other things to point out on there. You see this line style here. If I click in the down arrow, there's several at my disposal. Okay, so if I click one of these lines, I can go up to that line style, and I'm going to change it to wide lines. Okay, that got thicker. I'm going to actually select these lines here and do wide lines. Okay, so how I did that was I did a selection box with my left mouse button, bottom right to upper left. Anything that sort of crosses that box whatsoever will be selected, and then I changed it right here. Or you can go this direction, but you have to contain everything, the whole line within the box to select it. See how I'm stopping here? It's only going to select those 1, 2, 3 lines right here. Okay, I usually use bottom right to upper left to select things, right? That's so handy, right? Now I can select this. I can hold down Control to select more and add to that selection. I can change it up here to, let's try hidden lines. And look at that, we have sort of a dash line here, although it is green, and that's funky. I can show you how to change that. So back, now I hit escape twice, back in the detail line. So that basically does it for the line tool there. Now I can always change, I can select this line and I can sort of, I want to reposition that endpoint to be 2 inches here, right? So it'll move like that. Take this one, let's do 1 foot. So that moved down a little bit. So any sort of line you select, you're always going to get these temporary dimensions, as we've talked about before. And I can always move this temporary dimension by holding down with my left mouse button this little button, maybe move it over to this line. And I can say, hey, this needs to be 1'6" from there. It's going to move over a little bit. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about syntax. So if I want to say click this line here, this says 1 foot. If I click that little dimension and I just put in 2, no other symbol, nothing, hit enter, that'll take it as 2 feet. Right? So I click that again. I don't need to put 2 apostrophe, although I'm very used to doing that. So that's 2 feet, hit enter. That'll do the same thing. I can click it and just do 1'6", and that'll be 1'6". I don't need to worry about the quotation mark for inches and the apostrophe for the feet if you don't want to. So I can grab this. Let's do 3. So now that's 3 feet over. So a lot of uses there. Okay, so that is line work and changing the lines to different types. Let's change this one to, what's a path of travel line? Well, that's what that is. I'll show you how to change those in a moment. Okay, so that's lines. I'm going to go back into detail line, and we're going to go down this list here. Rectangle, I'm going to grab that. I'm going to change it to medium lines. And I'm just going to draw some rectangles here. Okay, I was just sort of making a geometric drawing of some kind. Just playing, making something that looks pleasing to my eye, not trying to be perfect. Okay, that's looking pretty cool. Let's get a skinny one in here. Now remember, with these rectangles, I have the same options. I can just click any line on this. I can have my temporary dimensions at my disposal. I can do what I want with them. I can, let's see here. I'm going to click this little dimension symbol right here. That will make that dimension string sort of visible and permanent in the drawing. Now, if I don't want that, I can just grab it and delete it. Okay. So I could go ahead, click this one. I think it was on this one. Yeah. I can make dimension strings permanent, or these temporary dimension strings permanent, or I can just use them as a temporary, kind of just grab it right here and move it around. Okay, so that's lines and rectangles. They kind of work together. So back into detail lines. Now we have these two right here. We have an inscribed polyline. That's a good image there for you, which basically is the polygon that you draw will be set within a certain radiused circle, whereas the other one to the right of it, if an image shows up here, the polygon will be put outside the circle. Do I ever use these? Not really. I mean, I really don't use these very much. So we'll go through them though. I'll click this one right here. If I look in my options bar, it's currently set to 6 sides. So if I just say, from here, and I want to go, let's go 1 foot up. There, I got that in there now. And let's do this one, circumscribed. I'll do 3. And here it is. Look at that. Isn't that kind of cool? Ooh, yeah, put that right there. That looks good. Really starting to dig my symbolic drawing here. So we'll get to that in a minute. So let me go back into detail line now. So that basically does it for inscribed polygon and circumscribed polygon. Now, again, I can select any side of these polygons and change their line weights. Change the type of lines that make them up. So this is a dash line here. Let's go ahead. I'm just gonna See what happens if I do that. So there we go. I just grabbed this line, I grabbed the endpoint, and I just dragged it in that case. So let's do that. I'm going to grab this one, grab the endpoint, move that over, grab this one, grab that endpoint, move that over. So that's how I kind of am breaking from the orthogonal nature a little bit. Let's move this line up. I don't like how they're all sort of lined up down there. We've got to make this a little more t-shirt design here. All right, so back to detail line. Circle's pretty self-explanatory. Now, before I click, I can snap to sort of any of these little vertices. This is the midpoint, the end point, wherever I want to sort of snap to in here. See if I can grab well, that's kind of cool. I can say line up from this point and this point. Let's see if I can get that lined up. It's going to let me. This one it wants to. I'll make a little circle there. Oh, that's adorable. There we go. I'll put a circle on the end of this. I'm going to move this over. There we go. Very cool. Looking sufficiently weird. Let's go back to detail line. So that does it for circle. Let's do this one here. Start end radius arc. This is kind of a cool one. I tend to use this one a lot. So I'm just going to select that. I'm going to select the start, the end, and then define a radius. So I could type something in like 1 foot. We got a little snow cone here. Let's do another one. I'm going to do here, here, and then I could just do it graphically. So I'm just going to choose where that is. That looks like a flashlight or something. I don't know. Let's do another one. Boom, boom. Well, this one will go in. There we go. Okay, so that does it for start end radius arc. Let's do this one. This one, center ends arc. Not really something I like to use a lot. It's very strange. So here, let's just try something here. I don't use this one very much, but let's say I want to do something here. I want to do like, imagine a circle here, but I only want to go from here to there. There we go. So you got to kind of click your way through that one. But if I grab that again, I basically am saying, I'm going to define the circle that this arc lives on, and then I'll define where on the circle the arc is actually drawn. So for example, right here, I'm going to click here, make a big circle, define the circle. Now it's going to start the arc from wherever I click last time. And then I can say, oh, I just only want it this much. Let me do that again. Oop, I hit escape twice. Let me go in there. Center arc ends. Let's go here, and I'll start it down here, and I'll go like that. There we go. You'll get the feel of that. It's kind of cool, but it's just not that. I just don't actually use it that much. Okay, so let's try something else. I'm going to go detail line. Tangent creates a curve that connects to the end of an existing line. So let's see. Yeah, let's set up a situation like that. So I'm going to draw some lines like this and a line like this. Now I'm going to select that tangent ends arc, grab this point, and it will create a curve naturally between them. But let's see if we can change this. 2 feet. That's a little strange. Let's try 5 inches. Ooh, can't change the radius. Okay. I can go bigger, but I don't think I can go smaller. Let's try 9 inch. Yeah, I think I can go bigger, but I can't go smaller. So you can see how often I use this one. So I think the thing is with that one, with some of these tools, is there's certain tools that you're going to find that you're very comfortable with, you're going to use all the time, and there's some that you just stray away from. But you can see how I'm just sort of playing in here and trying to learn the tool as well. Now this one I end up using quite a bit. So I'm going to click on that one. It says fillet arc. In the options menu, I can click radius and define this to be, say, 3 inches, enter. Then I can click one line and another line, and it'll naturally put a 3-inch radius between them. So this is like the fillet command in AutoCAD if you've used it. This one you'll probably use a lot. So let's do another one. Detail line, fillet arc. I'm going to do this one. Actually, I'm going to click radius. I'm going to do 1 foot. And I'm going to click this and that. Yeah, there you go. So the lines clearly have to intersect each other or look like they're going to intersect each other, or they already intersect each other. So like right here, they're already intersecting. This line and this line I could do here and there, and then I'll get a 1 foot radius between those as well. Although I don't like that line there. There we go. Now it's just looking better. Get back into detail line. This one, pretty self-explanatory, is a spline tool. Again, not one I typically use all the time, but you might find some use for it. So I'm going to click on spline. Let's do wide lines, and let's just going to create a, just going to kind of keep clicking here. And just play. All right, when I'm done, I'm going to hit escape. Let's see. Yep, there it goes. Just I hit escape once. I hit escape again. Now when I select that, I still have access to these control points that I can manipulate this line. The push and pull of the swings, or actually the endpoint positioning, and the scale of the line altogether. Again, not one that I typically use, but one that is at your disposal. Okay, back to detail line. We got just a couple more. So ellipse here. This one, again, don't use it as much, but this is kind of an interesting way they show it here. So when you're making a floor plate, for example, you could draw the ellipse in the middle of the floor plate boundary, and then you could not have that. So here they're doing that boundary line right now, and then you could create a hole in your floor for that's the ellipse shape, for example. So I'm going to click that. And let's see. I'm going to look at my status bar down here, because it'll tell me what to do next. Click to enter ellipse center. Okay. Let's put something right in here, right at the center of this circle. Okay, there we go. I define where the center is. I can define the end of the ellipse, and then I can define sort of the swing of the ellipse. And I can punch in dimensions for all those, or I can just do it graphically like I just did. Okay, our little drawing's really coming to life here. I'm going to go to detail line. That was ellipse, and this last one here is partial ellipse. Same kind of principle, just for creating. So in this case, it looks like they're going to extend the floor plate out an arc of some kind. Okay, but that's a great example of a three-dimensional object that you're using two-dimensional lines to sort of create. So let's do that on our little drawing here. I'm going to go ahead and grab that. I'll go here, here, and define how far that hangs down, maybe there. Hit escape twice. I'm out of it. So in detail lines here, we just covered all these except this last one. Now I'm going to go through what that last one is right now, but I just wanted to show you this. So now those tools in detail line, again, they're going to pop up in so many tools. All right, so let's just do an example of that right now. So if I go to floor plans, notice that I drew those lines, but they're nowhere to be seen here, right? Because this is a drafting view, and I created everything with detail lines, and detail lines are only view specific, so they're only going to live right in this view. So let me go back to level 1. Now let me go to architecture wall. Okay, so we have a generic 8-inch wall, and there are all the same shapes that I just was playing with, and I'm a pro at using them now, right? So I can make a rectangular wall. I can make a curved wall. Okay, I can make a wall shaped like an ellipse. Okay, so there I've made 3 crazy walls. And I can go to a 3D view. We did this last time, so I can just click that just so you can see that, yeah, we did in fact make 3 kind of little different shapes, just by using those line tools. Let me close that 3D view. back to level 1. Okay, so I want to show you something else here, and then that'll do it for this video, and then we're going to do one more video for this assignment. What I want you to do now is go to annotate detail line, and I'm just going to draw a curve. Okay, there we go. So I have a detail line in my model, right? So there it is on this view. It's a detail line on the level 1 floor plan. Now, if I go to the 3D view, I don't see it, right? Because it's a detail line. So go back to that level 1. There it is. Now, what I'm going to do is go to architecture wall. And we went through all these except sort of these last two, but this one is what I want to talk about. We can pick lines that are already in the model and turn them into a wall. So I'm going to pick this line, hover over this wall and click. Hover over that line and click. And now a wall sort of appeared. Well, it did appear right where I put that line. So if I go to my 3D view now, there it is. So keep that in mind, because how useful is that? So let me just kind of show you what I mean. If I go to level 1, I'm going to delete everything I made there. And I'm just going to go ahead and go to annotate detail lines. And I'm just going to make a bunch of lines. Let's do that. It almost looks like I'm drawing a floor plan a little bit, right? So I've just made some lines. Now I'm going to go to architecture wall, and I'll go to pick line. In my properties palette, I'll choose a different wall. How about this big one here? Exterior brick and CMU on metal stud. And I'm just going to select that line, select that, and down the line. And there we go. So now if I go to my 3D view, I've already sort of started to draw a pretty complex shape with a cool wall on it that's already been defined. So that wall is its own element, but I just picked the lines in the floor plan, those detail lines, to sort of create the geometry I wanted. So in some case, you might find that, boy, it's really hard to make this crazy geometry with the wall tools and just drawing the wall how I want it to be. Maybe I'll just draw it with detail lines first and then add the wall afterwards, so I can sort of visualize what I'm doing. Or maybe you just don't want to deal with the complexity of the wall yet. You just want a simple line drawing, right? So let me just delete wall there, select it. Now let's just, I see what's happening. Let me get out of the command and just delete these walls that I just put on top of each other. Delete these. So the line's still there, so I can manipulate the line and remake the wall. Whatever makes sense to me. So there's kind of two ways to do things there. Okay, so let me close that and close 3D view, and I'm just back to my line practice now. Okay, so that does it for this video. The main point of this video was really just showing you how to create different line work, detail lines, and getting you familiar with drafting in Revit versus drafting in CAD. Okay, so we went over all these different tools as well as different line weights that we can assign. Now in the next video, I want to go over these tools right here, and then we'll also go over how to make additional line weights and things like that. Okay, so I'll see you in the next one.